Oh, I need to change my name. And you need to change your name.
What?
Let's be all professional.
I think this is me. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the NC NICA podcast. I am Shawn Moore, and joining me as always is Brian Russell. And it's kind of hard to call you a sidekick. I feel like, I work for you, but it still feels sidekicky. I don't
We
know.
we we change hats a lot, right? Some days I work for you. I'm doing the coach trainer thing, and you're kind of in charge of all that. And then other days you work for me. It
It's
works.
like Batman and Robin have a work share agreement, I guess. Like I don't know, like some days Robin's in charge, sometimes Batman's in charge. Like
I
just
think
I don't know.
Sidekick works just fine for this gig here, the podcast.
Right on. So we're kind of in the preseason, and that's what we wanted to start talking about. We
About to get
have
real.
yeah, it's getting real.
Yeah,
We've had
we both were on NICA weekends, so to speak, this
yes,
weekend. Yes,
yes,
on
there was
assignment.
some more NICA assignment work this weekend and last weekend for sure.
And next
Uh
weekend, and then the
and
next weekend.
oh come on now.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah,
Just wait, we're about to go through the preseason update. So here we go.
yeah,
Buckle
it
up,
just
everybody.
comes thick and fast. Well, let's start off with we've had a month of student uh registration, and so let's kind of look at that. So our numbers right now, we've got 235 coaches, we've got 321 riders in this first month. That's 171 high school and 150 middle school. So we're kind of off to the races with registration.
Pun
um
intended. Well done, Shawn. Well done.
Unintentional pun. Yes, that's
Yep.
that's just how good I am, is that I don't even
Mhm.
have to think about them and the puns happen. Uh, but yeah, I think, first month, and we've had a month that was had some impacts, especially here in Western North Carolina. So I think that's probably we're seeing a little bit of that reflected in those teams getting started up. I've seen some communications, like seems like those teams are starting to get to a place to where they feel like they can get started with some preseason activities. Uh, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, someone asked me yesterday, as a matter of fact, Shawn, hey, how are we doing registration wise? And that's an interesting question because there are a lot of different dynamics this year. You mentioned the Western teams, maybe not immediately focused on getting registered for the season. They're still trying to assess what they're doing. Some teams are getting started, others need a little bit more time. So maybe registration out west is lagging a little bit. We have fifth graders this season. That's a new demographic. We will probably have quote unquote more numbers and we do. We already have some fifth graders registered. We had fifth graders at the Grit preseason event yesterday.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so yeah, it's just a couple different dynamics in the season. We're 300 in the first month. That's a really good number. That's great. We have more high schoolers than middle schoolers right now. That's odd. We usually have more middle schoolers once all registration is done than high schoolers. So middle schoolers are lagging right now for whatever reason. But yeah, I think overall 300 within the first month is a pretty good indicator that yeah, people are excited about what we're doing and getting ready to be involved.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of perfect place for you to kind of talk about what you did yesterday
Oh,
with
what a great day. Harris Lake, one is a great place. And then, part of the reason I'm in the mountain bike community, you get to hang out with some great people. And so yesterday it was the Grit Crew, our preseason grit event at Harris Lake. Shell, the Grit committee members always do a great job of bringing in our ambassadors who've been around a while to brand new female student athlete and just hanging out, having a great time, going on some rides, doing some fun and games. It was under the sea theme. Yes, Shell is probably already making a graphic with me and my floaties on, and I had the mask and snorkel. And yes, Shawn, I rode with my floaties on. And there's some tight trees out there, Harris Lake, little, bumping off the tree, keeping me protected. But it was great. I got to ride with Alex Tabor yesterday, one of the Grit podcast co-hosts or sidekick. I don't know if we're using that name now. But yeah, great seeing her, just encouraging all the other female student athletes and calling out, hey, feature coming up and checking in with them throughout the ride. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think we're building leaders in this league. So it was just great being able to ride with Alex and hang out with all the girls, and it was a good time out there.
100%. I wasn't able to make this one, but the times that I've been at grit events has just been really awesome, awesome crew of people. Love hanging out with all of our female student athletes. Like their their energy and vibe is just like really welcoming and super infectious, and you just like can't help but just be like, okay, we're gonna do amazing things today. This is gonna be awesome. So
Yeah.
I kind of envy you for being able to do that. How
I'm wearing
was
my grit hoodie in honor of the grit event
nice? How
today.
was the Harris Lake area? How was that trail wise?
It was great. Trail was fantastic. Everything was clear. Wasn't super crowded, but you have folks like Elise Freed, long-standing grit committee member. She does a ton for the league. New board member. We put that out in the single track times. Like she's Shawn. She's literally out there in the midst of red recruiting. She sees like another girl not associated with the program, and so yeah, she had Shell had parents and girls like showing up at the pavilion, going, "Hey, is there this NICA grit thing? We just talked to this lady on the trail." So great job, Elise, doing recruiting all the time. Yeah, but Harris Lake is a fun trail system, and it was in great shape for us.
And I think that's like a good kind of segue for us to talk about preseason team events and early season practices and this idea of fun, like the focus being on fun and not um, getting out on the trail as quickly as possible. Like I think that's something that a lot of times as adults we sort of think like the only reason the kids are showing up is because they want to ride on trail, and that's not really the case. They may present that as being the reason why they're there, but they're there to be around a bunch of kids their age and go riding with them. And I think one of the things that we can fall into the trap of is get trying to get out on the trail too soon, trying to get out on the trail too quickly. And we really want to start shifting the focus of this idea that, as Mike McGarry from NICA National Coach development, he really kind of, I think, states it really well that riding on trail is a game day scenario. It is sort of like a scrimmage if you were playing a ball sport. And so we want to structure our team activities and our team practices around this idea of building up to that game day scenario, not game day scenario day one. That would be sort of like if you were coaching a football team and you were just like day one, you're like, okay, play football. Like, you haven't really covered what anybody does. You might have a few kids coming back that have played football before and they can sort of kind of get out there and do some stuff, but you're really not building people's capacities and you're not teaching them what they need. And a lot of times those kids, they don't even really know what they need. And we want to structure the practices around that. So looking at this idea of, when we talk about skills, don't overburden a practice with trying to do a bunch of different skills. Really focus on one or two. Try to incorporate a fun activity that goes along with a skill. When we talk about braking, one of the things we talk about is this slow downhill race. So see who can get downhill the slowest, and you find sort of a slope and you have everybody line up and they race to the bottom to see who can be last down. And the first time through, you just let them use their rear brake. And the second time through, you let them use their front and their rear brake. And that's basically teaching them about how little braking actually happens with the rear brake, but it also shows them control and the ability to maintain balance at slow speed. Like there's all sorts of things that they're learning, but they're doing it in a fun, gamified way. The other is the idea of the short course. And we often see short course sort of like shelved as this, like, well, if I don't have enough coaches kind of thing. And really, like, the short course is an awesome and amazing thing, especially for the early season. You've got those kids who have been riding, they're super fit. You got those other kids who are not super fit. You've got those other kids that are like just kind of learning and getting it figured out. So you do some of your skills instruction, you do some games, but then you have that short course laid out. And now you can start to have them do laps. And so those kids that are fit, now they're getting a fitness workout. Those kids who have not been riding, they're starting to get that fitness workout too. And then your new riders, they're able to just kind of do their own thing, but you're incorporating some of that skills that you want them to be displaying where you can have kind of coachable points along your short course. So be creative and really be mindful of like, don't rush to the trail, especially with our new beginner riders. Like it's often we kind of go, oh, well, they'll pick it up from the other riders, and they really won't. And that's speaking as a kid that did not learn. Like I rode with people who were way better than me all the time and never could figure out how they were as fast as they were. And they were really poor at describing it to me too. They weren't great coaches, and I wasn't great at watching somebody do something and being able to do it. And whenever I actually discovered this ability to, there was a curriculum and having someone watch me do something and giving me that positive correction, that's when it sort of unlocked the ability to ride. And so that's something that I want all of our coaches to be mindful of is kind of your role in building these kids up and building their skill sets. And even the kid that's super, super performance oriented, all of these skills can just be practiced over and over again to get better and better and faster and faster. So please be mindful of that as we enter the preseason and early season whenever you're talking with your coaches about how you're going to do practices. Any thoughts that you want to add to that, Brian?
I dare not add too much because that was fairly comprehensive, Shawn. So thank you for that. I think maybe I would just throw in a long-standing argument of mine, and I think yours to NICA, that the adventure module in Pit Zone that coaches are able to take as kind of an add-on training should just be incorporated into coaching curriculum at all levels. And the reason I mention that is this idea of challenge by choice. And you described that, Shawn. A series of progressive things on a short course or in the skills training that the student athlete can choose for him or herself how much challenge they want at any one time. And I do agree, in the preseason, you don't want to say this game day thing is the thing. And the brand new athlete and parent that's showing up is going to trust you to do that game day thing, but they're not ready for it. Give them some options to kind of, like it says, try it out, but not, overextend themselves.
And
So
I've
for
had that experience where, you talk with a parent and you go, oh, well, what kind of riding have they done? And they're like, oh, rides all the time. Like every day is out riding. Like, cool. Then you see them and they're like, ooh, they don't look that good. And then you start talking with the parent more and find out. And I had this experience, found out all the riding that they had done in the driveway. Had never ventured anywhere other than the driveway, but loved riding their bike and rode hours every day in the driveway. So you can be very fooled, and it's always something that you as the coach need to put your eyes on the student athlete and assess their ability where they're at, and then come up with a plan to get them further than that. All right, let's talk about the preseason update. We got a lot going on. So this coming week, we got NICA Regionals, November 9th through 11th. You are all things NICA Regionals. I direct everybody to Brian Russell because I'm like, I know nothing.
yes, the second ever NICA Regionals, 11 state leagues on the East Coast coming together to ride and race and generally have a good time. It'll be fantastic. We have almost 30 student athletes registered to race. We've almost doubled our numbers since last season, which is great. Racing registration has closed. That closed on Friday, so we're recording this on Sunday. Racing registration is closed. General admission, if you just want to go ride or hang out in the Expeditor area, that's open until 8 November. And then on this Wednesday, um, 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll do a town hall. I'll host it, and Shell, who's going to regionals with me, will be on the line. We'll answer as many questions as we can about regionals. It's not our event. Shell and I have been involved in the planning, and we'll just try and kind of level set everyone to what to expect for the weekend. It's fairly normal NICA Saturday riding, course inspection, fun and games, and racing all day Sunday, essentially. But there are some differences with that. I would like to mention here for anyone going, make sure you are registered in our pit zone. So there is a NICA Regionals, separate registration, but all of our athletes have to be practice ready for the 2025 season to go. And if you're going to coach, thank you, more first. But two, you need to have your license updated to coach at the appropriate level at regionals. So yeah, please one last reminder as we head into this week, get your pit zone registrations updated, and then new for this year, North Carolina is hosting the Teen Trail Corps area at NICA Regionals. That's a first ever. They asked us to come. We do a great job with trail work here in North Carolina. And so we'll have a tent, some games and activities, and two of our athletes, Lonnie Preslar from Stanley Shredders and Claudia Baum, who's now on Chapel Hill team. She was middle schooler last year, but Chapel Hill team will be recognized as the top hour earner in their category across all those 11 leagues. They're going to be recognized for putting in the work, truly putting in the work. So congratulations to them. Looking forward to being up there with those two and all of our athletes and coaches and parents, just having a great time this coming weekend. But reminder, town hall this coming Wednesday, 8 p.m. via Zoom, and we'll answer as many questions as we can.
Awesome. I think we set a high bar last year with 4,000 TTC hours. So
6,000 this year, and with all the work that needs to be done out west, I suspect we'll get there. I know teams are we already have a couple hundred hours in pit zone, so we're well on our way.
and what we're seeing is tons of disaster recovery dollars are starting to trickle into sort of trail systems and those areas. I know that my city, like they came out and did just a tremendous amount of work clearing trees on our trail. And so when it came time for us to get out there and do work, there was very like we knocked it out in a day. Like when I first went out there and what I surveyed, I was like, it's going to take us a year to open this trail. And they got out there in a week and just cleared trees like nobody's business. And then when we got there, it was like, okay, like we can do this, we can knock this out. So that was awesome. And I think we'll start to see Western North Carolina really recover pretty quickly with all the focused efforts of everybody involved. So hopefully that will be sooner than later. But coming up, we have November 16th, we have an adventure focused ride that's going to be in a new location at Cub Creek in Wilkesboro. And you have a shout out that you want to give for that.
Um, First, if you don't mind, some
Yeah.
back like things changed this season. The hurricane, the recovery, and all that. So we were originally supposed to go to Old Fort, and I'll just mention again, Old Fort wants us there when the time is right. The time needs to be right. We want to go. We want to help Old Fort, but the time needs to be right. So original location Old Fort not going to work. 16 November. We then shifted to Lake Norman. Like, okay, we had worked with them. Maybe the grid event would be there. All the Lake Norman park rangers are out west helping, and they couldn't guarantee Lake Norman. So thank you, Ben Harbor, Mr. Wilkesboro, right? Got all the connections he threw on the table like a week ago, right, Shawn? Like, hey, I think we can pull this off at Cub Creek. New trails out there, trails we as a league hadn't been on, so I think it is exciting, and we will do some trail work. We're still working the details of that trail work out. We do want to help out Wilkesboro while we're there. But because it is an adventure-focused event, I did want to announce here that Fidlock has agreed to be our adventure program sponsor again for the 2025 season. So thank you very much, Fidlock. I think people are generally familiar with them, the magnetic locking bottles to your bike. They were a sponsor last year. They came out to our end of season adventure event, gave away some prizes and played some games, and it's fantastic. You will see their logo on our adventure passport. We will do the adventure passport again this season. We won't give that out to everyone. You kind of got to ask for it this season. We're aiming. It's at the printers to have those available at the adventure event, so you can sign that out and go do your activities that are in the adventure passport. But again, thank you, Fidlock, for agreeing to be a sponsor of our adventure program, one of the core pillars of league programming.
And then we have another new location on December 7th for another Teen Trail Corps focus. So where Cub Creek is adventure focused, this is going to be Teen Trail Corps focused, and that's going to be at NCCAR, which I mangled the acronym last time, but I'm going to try and no, I'm not going to try. You tell me, what does NCCAR stand for?
North Carolina Center for Automotive Research.
There
It's a
we
race.
go.
It's an asphalt racetrack, cars, bikes, whatever. 20 miles of motocross trail in the woods there. in a turnkey facility. They host races, porta johns and EMS and all that. And so the venue owner tells me, "Hey, I'm just going to turn the place over to you for a weekend." Oh, great. And we have essentially carte blanche on the trails out there. So Ben Harbor, we already mentioned Ben Harbor one. So ding, there's another. Ben Harbor was leading our venue survey team this weekend, in fact, and we don't have the report yet to go out and see what has to be fixed on those trails. They are chewed up a little bit. They're motocross trails. We want to make them at least rideable slash raceable for our kids for sure. So the idea on 7 December is to go out there, do a little bit of work. We, again, carte blanche, shape the trails and move them where you want. That's pretty cool. And then you get to go ride them. So you get to go help build the race course we're going to race on in the spring. So I think that's a pretty cool event for everyone.
And we are still working on rescheduling the coach retreat, still trying to figure out dates and locations. I have had one coach reach out to me and just say, I'm not going to be able to do it. Can I get a refund? By all means, if your schedule is tightening up and you know that your free weekends are starting to become a problem, just reach out and let me know. But for those of you that did register and have just been patiently waiting, we are working on that. I was just in Old Fort yesterday. It's kind of hard to believe what that place must have looked like right after, from what I saw yesterday. Like, it was pretty crazy. It definitely got devastated. So they're recovering. There were tons of like dump trucks and workers and like lots of activity of just like getting things done there. So I feel like they're going to bounce back soon, but we are working on that. But we have been able to reschedule our coach clinic, and that's going to be in January 4th and 5th. I've reached out to all of the people who were registered for that, and I have given them kind of the go no go option through Thursday of next week to ask for a refund. And then after that, we're going to open up registration to the league as a whole. So if you have coaches who are needing to recertify WFA, or you have level ones who maybe missed out on getting the OTBS 101 and WFA for level 2 certification, there is going to be kind of one more opportunity to do that. It is going to be in Western North Carolina. It is going to be, focused on that area because that's where it was originally scheduled for. Still working out the final details on the location, but it will be happening January 4th and 5th. All right. Now, the season update that I think everyone's been waiting for, I guess, the schedule is what you want to talk about.
Yes, and I guess the update is that there's no major update. Like I'm not announcing dates and locations in this podcast, but it's coming soon. We do have dates and locations for the spring. They're all locked on. They've all said they're supportable, but we're making one last push to see if we can get a Western venue on the schedule. Right now, we don't. And Western venues, I think everyone here knows, are hard in a good year. This is not a good year based on everything that happened, but we have a couple potentials that we might be able to pull it off. But I will be very frank with everyone here. My intent to get a Western venue, like we pushed for it last year, and Fletcher had, there is no perfect NICA venue. There's a life truth. Fletcher had a lot of imperfections, and we thought we could pull it off, but the weather went bad, and it's just we couldn't do it. And I don't want to get us in that position again of like false hope, particularly for the people in Western North Carolina. We want to do a venue for you. We want to come and we want to support whatever town that is, and invest and all that. Good, but I don't want to give the false hope again. So we've got a couple, and I just made the decision, a few weeks ago. Hey, we'll delay till 1 December. We'll put the whole league on hold on where we're going to see if we can get a Western venue out there because we do want to do that. And we've had a lot of communities very appreciative and trying to work with us to pull it off. But everything that everyone recognizes of what makes a great NICA event, we need that there. We don't want people to show up and be upset about lack of parking and the race schedule is all off because of whatever the issue is, and people just leave with a bad taste in their mouth. We don't want to do that. We do want a level of certainty that we can pull it off, and so we're just going to give it another go. We're going to take a look and see if we can pull it off, and I will just make whatever best decision we can come December because we do have to tell the rest of the league where we're going in the spring. People want to plan their springs. A lot of our, this, Shawn, a lot of our kids have a lot of other things going on. So people want to know. And I will say the dates that we publish are fairly solid. Like it's not really magic here in North Carolina. First weekend of March, every other weekend, don't hit Easter and finish before Memorial Day. And that's your schedule with plenty
But
of room.
this year we crossed the Rubicon, and we are going to be having an event on.
Mothers are going to have a great time on Mother's Day. We are going to recognize them. I don't know if they're going to walk all their athletes up during call-ups or not, but we'll figure something out. But again, like it's look at the calendar. If you want to finish before Memorial Day and leave room for a rain date for your championship, your last race of the season is on Mother's Day. There's no ways around it, so to speak. But while we're on the Western venue and the Western teams, let me just mention we did start a hurricane relief campaign this last week. We launched it on Monday. Within 48 hours, we raised over $2,000. And thank you to everyone that's contributed. But what that does is it augments our scholarship fund. I approved 6 scholarships within the past 3 days, Shawn, for kids in Western North Carolina. Like, don't even think about it. Like, here you go. Here's your registration fees. Come on in. Let's not worry about that. We might buy some more bikes for a learner bike program. Maybe we get funds directly to teams to help them manage at their, team level what the real needs are out there. So again, thanks for everyone. We'll run that campaign the rest of the month. If you feel led to contribute, please do. It's going to go directly to someone in our league in Western North Carolina to help them out.
All right. I've got a couple of reminders that I want to give everyone. So, head coaches, team directors, remember that if you have a student athlete who has at some point been in NC NICA or NICA National, not to send them a new invitation, but we will just need to have them moved from the team they were on to your team. That can be done anytime. They can register if they raced in a middle school team last year and now they're at the high school level. They can register for that middle school team. And whenever I move them, it doesn't affect that. But please don't send them new invitations. Just reach out to me, Shawn at northcarolinamtb.org. Give me names, give me what team they're on and where they need to go, and I will get that moved. Same thing with coaches. Coaches are a little bit different. You can coach for multiple teams. You just get an invite. Make sure that you send the invitation to the same email address that they have for all of their other teams that they're a coach for. Otherwise, it creates a brand new coach profile for them, and they would have to start at level 0 and work their way up. So you want to make sure that they are on their existing coach profile. Please do that before rather than after. It's a little bit harder for us to unwind that once it's done as a fresh one. And other than that, if you think, like, I've had a couple of people reach out, there's been coaches that maybe haven't been a part of the league for a while and their coach profiles got deactivated. Just reach out to me and I reactivate them. It's super quick and easy. But that's all I've got for reminders before we get to pictures of Tate and
So
yes.
I brought Tate, short for Tater Tot, to the grit event yesterday. This young pup has never had more attention in his life. I think every girl came up to say hi to Tate, and he slept all the way home
Just
from
worn
LA.
out.
Well, it was good socialization because I think maybe, as I've joked before, I don't need Shawn Moore coming to me on our first race going, "Hey Brian, 6 foot retractable, non-retractable leash, and keep him 50 feet away from the course tape, if you would." Thank you very much, league director.
And he's a bit bitey.
Yes, all puppy, all bite. No doubt
Yep.
about it. Yes.
Right on. All right. Well, I I don't have a dad joke, but I do have a knock knock joke. So,
I have a dad joke for under the sea theme.
oh, okay. So you go first.
Okay, yeah. So, what did the fish say when it ran into a wall?
I have no idea.
Damn. So, yeah, like, hey, this is a kid-friendly podcast. Watch your language, league director.
DAM.
That's right. Right. Well, I was also thinking perhaps our trail work is out at Dark Mountain. Ben's trying to work that with U.S. Army Corps
Ooh,
of Engineers. Yep, I think the work they're currently doing on the dam is off right now. We might be able to get over there at Dark Mountain, but again, he's still working those details. More to follow.
all right. So I have a Halloween themed knock knock or knock knock joke. Yeah. I have
Oh,
a
very good.
Halloween themed one. All
Okay,
right. So you
I can
ready?
follow along, I guess.
All right. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Ah,
Who?
Werewolves of London.
Oh, a classic. Wow, taking me back a few years. Very nice.
All right. That is more than enough. I'm sure Bill, you're still listening, so that one was for you.
Bill was on the venue survey team out there at NCCAR, so looking forward to his report tomorrow night at the staff meeting. It'll be great.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. See you next time.
See you next time.